Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone!
Now, you may have noticed there's no guest this week. That's because for the last couple of episodes we didn't actually get around to doing your questions. Sorry, that's on us, that's our fault. So we decided for this episode we're going to focus primarily, on the beginning at the very least, to focus on the questions that we didn't get around to for the last 3 episodes now, was it?
Yeah, it's 3. Basically, we seem to have run into a pattern of every time we have a guest, we have a habit of, talking to that guest ad nauseum. So the last time we actually answered any questions was the last time it was just the two of us. Now, that's not a bad thing, and I make no apologies for the fact that we ramble long, talk to guests ad nauseum, because at the end of the day, I want to hear what they've got to say and have those conversations with them. But
of course.
We do have a questions Q&A segment, and we should absolutely honour that. And I get the feeling that there's many people watching this podcast who probably haven't heard one for ages or didn't even realise it's a regular segment. So, I think it is probably best that we wrap it up, especially because, we probably picked up a lot of people since 175 with Quizcastus, which we thoroughly ripped off Quizlemania. And as a result, we do need to sort of reintroduce the segment.
Yeah, in fairness for the Quizlemania ripoff, at least I admitted to it during the show. It's like, yeah, I ripped this segment directly from Quizlemania, name and all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
it
no
was
bad
good. I'm not going to deny it. It's like,
it's no bad
I think the correct term is I was inspired by it. It's like, it's not war games, it's blood and guts.
Broadly, yes.
Anyway, so let's start with some questions. Let's just get out of there.
Yeah, indeed. I'm going to run from sort of 176 forward. So the most recent episode will be the latest questions, and the older questions will be the ones we ask first, because I just thought that would be easier to follow for us.
Yeah.
So, first question, since we're talking about Warhammer, one of the biggest inspirations, so they say, from or of Warhammer is Dune. So the question that this person asks is, did you actually watch the Dune movie?
Which one? The new one or the one from the 1980s?
The new one from 2 years ago.
I have not, no, sorry.
No, I can't say I have either. I haven't actually been to a cinema since Star Wars Episode 9, I think.
I always say this in regards to the 80s Dune movie. It had a fucking awesome soundtrack.
I
will give it that. It was dun, 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 dun. Real epic, bombastic shit. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, no, we haven't, and there is a second one. I've seen trailers for it, but as I haven't got around to the first one, then
Is it adapting the second book of the Dune series, or is it just continuing the first Dune book? I don't know, because I've not seen it.
All I know is that Christopher Walken is playing the Padisha Emperor, and that's all I know.
Okay, I'm sold. Christopher Walken, I'm sold.
Right, well, everyone, instead of nagging me to go watch Akira, everyone go nag Remleiz to watch Dune.
The spice must flow. This isn't over bears.
Yes.
Have you seen that film, Christopher Walken? When he's going with those animatronic bears.
No, that's not something I have seen, and no, that's not your cue to say.
Like the early 90s, I think. But anyway,
I wasn't born.
Next question.
So anyway, moving on.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I watched Gojira, and I wasn't born in the 1950s, and I've still watched that film.
Yeah, point.
No excuse.
Right. Okay, a more directly 40k related one. This has some Arcs of Omen spoilers, but, 10th edition's been out a couple of months. Keep up. So,
and Games Workshop already spoiled Arcs of Omen story, on their website anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
And that. So, apparently, and I haven't read all of Arcs of Omen because I didn't want to spend 40 quid on a lore book, considering that Vashtor apparently managed to open a back door to the webway, true or false?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but anyway, carry on.
So, apparently they managed to do this. So, is it possible then that this has going to give a bit of a backdoor for the Khan to be the next Primarch to return?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, they already hinted that the Khan might still be alive, because, in Ashes of Prospero, when Niall Stormcaller, he was telling Logan Grimnar about the visions he had. Like, he had the vision of the sleeper entombed in rock, Lionel Johnson, and of a white giant in a chariot of lightning. That's blatantly Jagatai Khan, so it's possible.
Yeah, and there's actually this comment that talks about a prophecy of an avenging sun, a returning knight, and a flash of lightning. I don't know if that's just a misquote of the Niall Stormcaller prophecy, or if there's a separate one knocking about.
If there's a separate one knocking about, I've personally not seen it, or at the very least can't remember it.
Okay, it might be tied inside of Arcs of Omen, who knows?
It might be, actually.
Yeah. Let us know where that one comes from, if it's just the Njal Stormcaller prophecy slightly misquoted. Either way, it doesn't matter, just curious.
Aye.
Right. Moving from lore to tabletop, what faction, and I feel like we've answered the question before, but it's always nice to sort of get a fresh take as the lore moves on, because the lore's moved on. What faction that doesn't currently have an army for the tabletop would you like to see get support? Now, I know the classic answer to this was squads, but now we have squads. So, what now?
A full Kroot army.
Yeah. Or just something to do with the Tau Auxiliaries. Like, make them a bit like, for you really old fantasy... Yeah, Dogs of War. Which is an old mercenary company.
But don't just make it Tau Auxiliaries. Make it... Don't just make it Tau Auxiliaries. Make it mercenaries that any army can hire. Like, maybe like, Silith that can be hired by, Drukai, for instance. Or Turelian dog soldiers that can be hired by any army other than humans. Because they hate humans.
Yeah.
Or even Eldari Corsairs. That's mercenaries. Squat prospectors.
Yeah. They exist in Necromunda now, but yes, absolutely. I think there's two sides of it. Like, there's a Dogs of War, classic mercenary thing, but I think it's something Age of Sigmar's done, which, if you've not been following, is they have actually introduced mercenary companies.
Right.
As a mechanic. So the Mega Gargants, as you may already know, can be hired by any faction belonging to particular Grand Alliances. I think the Order can take the Kraken Eater and so on and so forth. But they've also introduced what are essentially regiments of renown. These are the Harbinger boxes.
Yeah.
I think it's them, or there might be a separate other box that doesn't include them, where you can buy this box and take it as a regiment of renown or a mercenary company for your Grand Alliance. So Order armies can just take the Fireslayer detachment as a mercenary company. If I understand it correctly, and I'll be completely honest, with everything to do with 9th edition, 10th edition, I've not kept up with Age of Sigmar that closely because it's all ticking along in the background. But as I understand it, there are mercenary companies enshrined not just, inside General's handbooks or whatever where they used to be, but these Harbinger boxes, I believe, are regiments of renown. And if they aren't, there are definitely regiments of renown boxes that came out before that. So you could do that if you wanted. Like Imperium could take like a guard detachment of like super elite soldiers built of Kassakin, commanders, and whatever as like, or maybe take a Tempestus detachment as like air support with a Valkyrie, or it could be a little Space Marine task force. It could be like an assembled Chaos cult. It could be a Genestealer cult for Tyranids. I know they can do that already, but you know what I mean. So they could do that if they wanted to go down the mercenary route. For me, Tau Auxiliaries is a separate codex. Like, you either give these units to the Tau and have them have like, okay, you've got the full Kroot set, but then you've also got more Vespid options. You've got the Nikasar, you've got, I know they're shit-based, but you know what I mean. You've got...
Sharp Acton?
Yeah, and so on and so forth. You've got the various auxiliaries, and you can take them in your Tau army, or make them a separate thing that you take separately to a Tau army to represent the Empire sort of looking after itself. But again, a full Kroot Codex will work in that direction as well. Make the Kroot the core, and build the other auxiliaries around it. Alternatively, and someone the commenter mentions, is Exodites, which is always a great pick. Or the Corsairs being expanded from a kill team in the Eldari Codex to a full-on thing that you do. Like,
well, they technically did that. They technically did that, like in 6th and 7th edition in Imperial Armor, Doom of Nymeria, because you had an army for like a Corsair army in that. Because I'm pretty sure that like the entire book was Corsairs versus Space Wolves, I think.
I'm honestly not sure. I haven't read that one. But it's interesting because they tried to do that with Harlequins, where they pulled Harlequins out, and now they've just rolled them back in. Yeah, they had about 3 editions out and had all these extra units given to them, and now they've just been rolled back in. Same with the Ynnari.
I don't think it was 3. I think it was just 2.
They had the troop, they had the transport, they had the jet bikes, and they had the heroes.
Oh, I thought you meant 2. Sorry, I was already talking about editions. Sorry.
No, they've been around since like 6th or 7th.
As a standalone army?
Yeah, it certainly was in 7th. Because I remember playing against it with my Green Tide in 7th.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, because I only remember the codices being in 7th and 8th.
It was in 9th, I feel like. Or at least they were playable as a separate army in 9th, even if they didn't get a separate codex for 9th.
Yeah, in 9th they were just rolled into the Eldari codex.
I thought that was only in the 10th index.
No, that was 9th edition codex, because 9th edition codex was just Codex Eldari.
True.
And that included craft welders, that included Harlequins and Inari.
Yeah.
I think Corsairs as well, technically.
Yeah, the Corsairs, I think, sort of would officially be in both if both got a new codex, because they can both take them. The dumb thing, and one of my friends at Warhammer Club Plays Eldarion was telling me this, is that if you want to run Ynnari, you can't run other options. And if you want to run a Drukhari-based Ynnari army, it's actually quite a pain in the arse, because you have to take your Warlord as Ivrain or whoever, which locks you out from all the really good characters, including the Phoenix Lords, which is a massive pain in the neck, apparently. Even though the Phoenix Lords are all canonically Ynnari, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I remember like in 7th edition, you could take the Phoenix Lords in an Inari army.
You can't now.
That's bullshit.
That is indeed bullshit.
It just goes to show that the Inari of they got a huge push at the end of 7th, and then it just collapsed like, the Ottoman Empire. Or the Austro-Hungarian Empire, sorry.
Yeah, it was one of those of they were shoved in our face, and the response was just, no.
They were Roman Reigns.
They were pushed on us. Yeah, it was a bit of a Roman Reigns.
In his babyface run.
But instead of it lasting for 5 goddamn years, it lasted for 5 goddamn minutes, and then they were just forgotten again.
Yeah. Do you remember it was like, the Inari and the Imperium have a treaty of non-aggression. Next edition. The Grey Knights are actively hunting them down.
Of course.
Well, that lasted for a good whole 5 minutes. That was fun when it lasted.
Yep.
It lasted about as long as Jey Uso's main event push. Or was it Jimmy Uso?
Jey Uso's main event push lasted several months.
Yeah. So basically in 40k terms, it's about as long. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's back again.
Shame it never will be for the Inari.
Yeah. Right.
Press F in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. F in the chat for the Inari.
Indeed. Right. Okay. With all this talk about more Primarchs, how would you feel about an actual proper, assuming it with a bit of setup, swerve? And by that, this commenter suggests Wolfen Russ gone chaos, being stopped and fought against by the clone of Fulgrim that's loyal. Actually do a full-on swap.
I'll be honest, I don't like the idea of Russ going to chaos, but what I do like the idea of a Wolfen Russ is the fact that he's basically completely uncontrollable. So basically, he'll fight everything, regardless of whether it's Imperial or Chaos. Basically, make him like a true neutral, essentially. Like he's just, just bestial instincts. A force of nature. Anything in his path, he just rips apart, regardless of what alignment they are.
Maybe, though. At the end of the day, that makes him no different to the Tyranids.
Arguably, but at the same time, you could add. There is some story potential there in regards to the Space Wolves trying to bring him back in, as it were.
Yeah. And what about Clone Fulgrim? Because I feel like for most people, Clone Fulgrim is a completely unresolved, unaware plot point that no one knows about and no one cares about.
Well,
but
it's not unresolved. It's completely resolved. Like Fabius Bell goes, "I'll give you the Clone Fulgrim in exchange for this gene seed." Sure, deal. Now it's in my collection. There you go. That's the plot resolved.
Oh, Trazen's got him, has he?
Yeah, it's in Trazen's museum.
I'd forgotten that. Okay.
Because Trazen originally wanted Fabius Bile in his collection, and Fabius went, "No, that's not going to work for me. How about one of my clones?" And Trazen's like, "Yeah, okay." But then, when they got back to his ship, Fulgrim had basically caused, a serf uprising, when basically attacking Eidolon's forces on his ship. Fabius basically says "Nope, stopping this shit right now. I'm disappointed in you, Clone Grim. I told you to stay in the lab. You didn't. Right, Trazen, he's yours. Oh, cheers. Always wanted a Primarch. Thanks."
Okay. Counterpoint.
That's literally what happened.
All right. Sorry. My bad. Forgot how that plot thread went. And many people will not know that plot thread. Let's be fair.
In which case, I'll say this. read the Fabius Bile trilogy. It's a really good series of books.
And will hopefully set you up quite nicely for the Cold Bile novel, assuming it's been, it's good.
One can but hope.
One can but hope. But, okay, counterpoint. All right, the Tyranids have done a lot of damage. We know the Silent King wants them gone and has been actively trying to stop them. What's to say Trazyn takes the clone out of his collection and says, actually, Solemnace is screwed if I don't do this. Release everything. Just release the specimens and let them kill the Tyranids and everything in their way. I'll mind shackle them later, but I just need these bugs dead. Or Cesaric is working on command protocols. We don't know if he is. He might try because he realizes the only way the Necrons are going to stop this is by working together. Like properly, not just, let's all sign a peace treaty. No, command protocols. I know I severed them. I need them back. And every single resource on Solemnace is emptied and Clone Fulgrim goes rogue. Just goes missing, is assumed to be dead, isn't dead, body's never found because, biomass do be biomassy. Never found, shows up again sometime down the line. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't contrived bullshit, because it is, but if you set it up in terms of we know Trazyn's got him, we know Cesaric wants the Tyranids dead, we know that Solemnace has been attacked before, and that has either caused a breakout or a loss of parts of the collection, because, smashy shit.
Remind me again when Solemnace was attacked by the Nids?
It hasn't been attacked by Nids, but we know it's been attacked.
Was that when Bile's guys invaded it?
Partly. Also, Orican nearly smashed half the place up in Infinite in the Divine as well. There was war in the museum as well.
Right. I thought war in the museum was just something getting loose. I was like, oh, bollocks.
Well, again, okay, something gets loose. We know it happens. Things get loose. Solemnace has been attacked before. And if Cesaric wants something, and he's working, and if he sets up command protocols, and he tries to, which he could as a plot point, be something he's working on in the background, is reunifying the Necron Empire under command protocols, and, the Imhotechs and the Oricans of this world are fighting against it, set that up, and have Clone Fulgrim either break out, or just be unleashed by accident in an attack on Solemnace because Cesaric wants his army back and he knows Trazyn's got all sorts of cool shit and having that back on their side would be useful. Trazyn's like, no, this is my collection. You leave it the fuck alone. I don't care that you're the Silent King. Go away. Because he would. He'd tell Cesaric to fuck off if it meant that his collection was safe. He would.
He'd tell anyone to fuck off.
Exactly. He'd tell the Silent King to fuck off. So things go south. Clone Fulgrim escapes. Is lost track of because Trazyn's too busy trying to stop Anti-Mind Shackle from enslaving his mind again and making him a slave to the Silent King. He's a bit busy. And Clone Fulgrim is just lost track of. And then we can use him. And we don't know where Clone Fulgrim's alignment truly lies. Like, we know it smashed shit up because it escaped from the lab, but was that feral insanity, or was that, you are all traitors, you need to die? Where's the line there? Or can we play with that line?
He was fully cognizant. Like, he was aware of basically everything, like, the real version of him did, because he basically studied all these, like, historical texts and all that.
And he decided that the Emperor's children needed to die for it.
No, only Eidolon's group, because Eidolon's group wanted to kill Fabius Bile's group.
And Eidolon's group, yeah, okay.
Because Clone Grim was basically extremely loyal to Fabius because he viewed Fabius as his teacher. Right. So he was extremely loyal to him. There's a reason there's that meme picture of Fabius Bile and Clone Grim as Rick and Morty. That's basically literally their relationship. Right,
I've got you. Okay, well, I think there's a way that Clone Fulgrim getting loose is workable. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I think there's a way to play with it other than just, hey, Fulgrim's back, he's a snake demon, moving on, no more loyalist primarchs for you, or just bring back Khan, bring back Russ, everybody said, I told you so, move on. Clone Fulgrim as a rogue entity could be fun.
I'll just say this. Stop bringing back loyalist primarchs. It diminishes the impact they have.
I know.
It's fine with traitor primarchs because the traitor primarchs never left to begin with. They were always present in the lore. And it just makes, a much more oppressive odds against the Imperium and stuff like that. It's like, oh, look, they're still teaching even worse on the brink of falling to extinction. Because you just keep bringing all the Primax back. It's like, oh, great, it's Horus Heresy 40k.
Yeah, I think...
It's not as interesting.
I think 2 is, especially given the way the lore is with the Signature Commanders, but I think 2 is the sweet spot. Gilliman running the Imperium and Lion as either rogue agent or warden with Imperium Nihilus. Like, that's the sweet spot. No more.
Like, yeah, because... I mean, personally, I've already mentioned this, multiple times, a lot in the past, but I didn't want anyone other than Gilliman back after they announced Gilliman had returned. But I was willing to concede that, okay, if they are going to bring one back, Lion makes sense because he is confirmed to be alive, so he would make sense if they bring him back. And they did bring him back, so it's like, okay, well, at least they brought back the one who actually makes sense. It's not like they just went out of their arse and went, hey, surprise, it's Korax, and that's not something that hasn't been done for a while, but hey.
Yeah, true.
It's an excuse to do that line joke, but hey. It just seems to be really out of left field. It's like, oh no, by the way, we're going to resurrect Sanguinius. Like, fuck off if you do that.
Yeah, that one is fuck off.
Same with Ferrus Manus. Oh, by the way, we're having a Ferrus Manus Leviathan Dreadnought. No, fuck off.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a line, and I think I'd like to think the writing team know that there's a line and that they can't cross it in terms of how far you can stretch logic. Like, Gilliman's not dead, Lion's not dead, and that's fine. And lore-wise, Russ is not dead, but at that
even
point...
though his armor was found.
Yeah, at that point, enough.
Yeah. Anyway, next question.
Yeah, so I've moved on an episode, hoping that I will find one. Okay, so this one's based on 2 episodes, so I missed this one and then it's come up again. So, for the Traitor Legions, and this is going to sound even more daft, we're talking about Primarchs out of nowhere. How about Chaos Gods out of nowhere? So, 4 of the 9 Traitor Legions have a patron god. Vashtor kind of fits as a patron of the Iron Warriors. What about the rest? What would a Chaos God that the others were devoted to actually look like?
Because who else would that be? I'd just be Word Bearers, Night Lords, and Alpha Legion?
Correct. Because, no, wait, there's one more. Hang on, what were we forgetting? Oh, Black Legion.
Black Legion's hard because Black Legion is not just one legion, technically, because it's made up from the dregs of a whole bunch of different legions.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure the founding members of the Black Legion were not only sons of Horus, but also Thousand Sons, World Eaters, and Emperor's Children.
Yeah, that's enough.
Because, again, the Word Bearers wouldn't worship any one god. It's not in their nature, because they worship the entire pantheon. So unless there is actually, a Chaos God of Chaos Undivided, they won't worship anything other than that, if they have to pick just one. Because they just worship all of them. Yeah,
absolutely. So no, I think Word Bearers, it doesn't make sense for them to have one. I think you're right. Night Lords, Malice is right there. It would do.
Well, you could argue that for Alpha Legion, considering Malice is the Chaos God of Chaos. And what is Chaos? Deceit, confusion, infighting, and the Alpha Legion are both loyal and traitors at the same time because all the Alpha Legion bullshit.
True.
Remember that one Alpha Legion novel? Hey, here's a leader of an Alpha Legion warband. He's a follower of the Imperial cult.
Sense.
It's so if anyone's going to worship Malice, the Chaos God of Chaos, it'll probably be, them.
But that then says that the Alpha Legion actually serve Chaos in the first place.
Yes, but Malice is the embodiment of Chaos, its own self-destructive and combative nature. So by serving Chaos, they also bring about the downfall of Chaos because it's Chaos eating itself.
Yeah, okay, follow that logic.
Eating its own tail.
Yeah, the Ouroboros, even though that's the Thousand Sun symbol.
Yeah.
But yes, follow that. Right.
It's funny you bring up the Thousand Sun symbol. The Thousand Suns, the Egyptian-themed Space Marine Legion with a Norse symbol and a Primarch based on a Babylonian. And also a Norse god at the same time. A Norse god with a Babylonian aesthetic, with a Norse symbol and an Egyptian aesthetic for their armour. Just pick one, guys. Come on.
Well done, G-Dubs. Right. Okay, this is kind of leaning into news, but I do have to kind of mention it. So, the Tyranids got a super mega gribbly boss monster. The Norn Emissary and the Norn...
The Norn Emissary and the Norn Assimilator.
Correct. And it's a very big, gribbly, nasty boss monster. I really like the Emissary. I actually hate the Assimilator. I think it looks awful. At least because it's just got too many spikes. And I know it's Warhammer, but it still has too many spikes.
Yeah.
So this commenter is asking is, do you think the other factions can be able to step up with similar sort of Custodes, primary level, like mega danger kind of things? Is there anything in other factions that would be suitable?
See, this is the problem 40k is starting to have now. Like even more so than previous editions, we're getting to stupid levels of power creep now.
Yeah.
Like everything needs to have a bigger and badder monster. It's getting stupid. Like Imperium, we got 2 Primarchs. Chaos, we got multiple Primarchs. The Nids, we got the Norn Emissaries. And let's be honest, the Norn Emissary is just a poor man's version of the Dimacaron. I'm sorry, it is, because it shares literally the exact same battlefield role as the Dimacaron from Forge World, and even a similar appearance as well.
The Norn Assimilator really does. The Emissary is brand new, and I actually think the Emissary is a good direction. Like, we know we're never going to see a Norn Queen on the battlefield, but
outside of Epic, maybe.
Outside of Epic, maybe. But
because I'm pretty sure in Epic the Dominatrix model, which basically had a throne for the Norn Queen, is on it. If I recall correctly.
Really don't
correctly. Know. I can't fucking talk.
I really couldn't tell you. I think the Emissary is a great direction to go, like a step up from the Swarm Lord. Like, we know the Swarm Lord is this like super level threat, but the Swarm Lord has also been punked out on multiple occasions now. So a step up from the Swarm Lord in terms of a strategic mind, that goes for like high psychic, high power, and the ability to just, prey on knowledge and commanders, I think is a really good direction to take it. But I do think that the Assimilator is just a waste of space. And I know I'm sat here as a Tau player knowing that, hey, we got a bigger fancy mech suit isn't going to cut it. It's going to have to cut it, but it isn't going to cut it.
Unless the Tau start making their own Space Marines.
No. I know I want more Tau auxiliary stuff, but actually, no, I don't want Tau Space Marines. The last thing this game needs is more
Kais becomes
Space
the first
Marines.
Tau to cross. Shasso Kais becomes the first Tau to cross the Rubicon Tauron Sha. To become a Tau Space Marine. Because if anyone would, it'd be fucking Kais, let's be honest.
Suck. No. Absolutely not. This game does not need more Space Marines. No.
I mean, we've effectively got, Nid Space Marines already,
Well, we've had them since 3rd, so it's fine. But, like, one organism evolved from Space Marine DNA is one thing. Giving an entire faction, hey, we have knockoff Space Marines, is not fine.
Oh, slight tangent, but you just reminded me. This is something news related, but because you mentioned about, Space Marine DNA, I'd say I really don't like the new Biovore design. It's literally just a spider with a giant penis skull on top of its back. I hate it. Considering that, the Biovore is meant to be, made from reconstituted orc DNA, you don't see that anymore. Because, at least in the previous models, you had the large underbite and the huge gorilla arms to basically serve as its anchor position to basically lock itself into place. But now it's literally just a spider. I hate it. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I get it. I think as a standalone model, if you did not...
If this wasn't a Biofor, if this was a brand new creature, it'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's a nice model. And actually I saw it and thought, oh, that's really nice. That's a logical progression. And as much as I agree about the whole orc DNA thing being annoying, it makes sense that, the Biovore was evolved from orc DNA. Then they realised that orcs couldn't shoot straight. So evolved it again to improve its ability to traverse terrain, improve its speed, improve its mobility. And yes, they fell back on some old habits and made a spider-like creature. I get it, but
because if they just redesign the model to be more akin to the Pyrovore, Because that's basically like taking the biovore design and improving upon it to make something more nitty, but still keeping, some obvious orky influences, like with the massive, forearms to basically serve as your anchor points, as your bipod, essentially. So like you can still see, the orky influence in the DNA there, even if it's less subtle, it's more subtle and like, less obvious, huge orky underbite with tusks. But it still has a little bit of one, but it's like more of a classic Nid angular jaw shape rather than just a massive orky underbite.
Yeah, I get it.
You can still see the link there. But like the new Bivore, it's just a spider.
Yeah, I get you. And I think
right down to the fucking mandibles and powder palps.
Yeah, but I mean, as someone who very much likes the Arachnarock spider, I kind of don't mind. I still think it's a nice model, and
it's a nice model, but it's just the wrong model for a Biovore.
Yeah, I get you.
If they called it something like, I don't know, like the Arachnivore or something, people would be like, cool, thanks for the new unit type, kind of thing.
Yeah, or even if they just said that the Biovore form was rendered redundant, and so they've replaced it with this new, better version using better DNA strains, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But no.
Anyway, back to questions.
Yeah. So we are actually on to the most recent episode now, I think. So, query. Have any new custodians been made since the Horus Heresy?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking. Thought that would be right, but just checking.
Like, I'm pretty sure, like, even states in, like, the 8th edition Custodian Codex, like, in the entire galaxy, there's literally only 2 people in existence who know how to make them. And they're both on Terra, so...
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that they're only on Terra.
The fact that there's literally only 2 in all of existence who know how to do this shit. All it's going to take is one lucky bomb hitting the palace or whatever. It's like, hey, guess what? You've now lost the ability to make custodies.
Oops. This is why you write things down, idiots.
Or maybe have more than 2 people. Maybe, like, at least have, I don't know, a custodian equivalent to an apothecary who knows how to do it in a pinch as, like, a backup. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay.
Because obviously they don't have to harvest gene seed, but at the same time, hey, a custodian's going to get injured during a fight anyway. Who's going to fucking treat them?
Yep. I mean, they've got super healing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but even so, like, if you're on a huge battlefield, oh, guess what? I've had both my legs broken. It's going to take a while to heal from that. I might need an apothecary to help patch me up quickly.
Super healing.
But do the bones just go... I'm all good, Ray. It's good now.
God only knows with the custodians, they are walking bullshit when it comes to biology. Right, okay.
Oh, don't get me started on the whole thing like, oh yeah, this one guy, he killed 50 Crud in close combat in the span of an hour. It's like, bull fucking shit he did. If he was fighting Crud in close combat, he would have turned to fucking dust.
Rant unlocked.
Because, like, the Crud... they have that, entropic field. Anything within, like, a meter radius of them is basically aged by, like, 1,000 years or so per second.
The Custodes are biologically immortal. Old age can't kill them.
I raise you eyes of the Emperor, who basically members who have become too old and too slow that they're forced to retire.
Yes, that doesn't mean that they can't absolutely punk out an alien species that only works by entropic technology and actually can't hold its own in a fight
50 of them. You're basically saying around 50, right? I'm exposed to the entropic field that's basically aged me 50,000 years, and he's absolutely fine. I
never said fine. I never said fine. I merely said able to function and punk their ass out. Because bear in mind, what a Custodes considers too old to go is probably can't take an entire Space Marine chapter single-handed. Like, the Custodes' definition of too old to be able to go, like, this isn't like humans where you get to 50-odd and you can't run fast and you can't keep up with the young buds. No.
If Lionel Johnson is shown to visibly age and to be actually physically slower than he was, than he was 10,000 years ago, a custodian sure as hell will be in that same period
I'm
of
not
time.
saying that they can't get slower. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that just because they can't go at the rate a younger custodians can go, doesn't mean that they are not skilled enough with a blade, even working on autopilot, to punk out these aliens who can't do shit to them. I know the entropic field is a thing. I know it's bullshit, but if the custodians don't age to the point that they are still able to fight, because let's be real, this, Eyes of the Emperor Brotherhood, if a Space Marine walks up to them and tries to punch them in the face, they'll be dead in 2 seconds flat. They will still absolutely punk out any Space Marine that goes near them. So, if a Space Marine in a fight could punk out one Hrud, taking out the entropic field, then absolutely an old custodian can take out a Hrud.
I just want to point out, even Space Marines struggle against Hrud. Basically, you keep them at a distance. If you get anywhere if they get close to you, you're fucked. That was literally the entire half the plot line of the Per Arbo novel.
Yes, because the entropic field is a thing.
Yes.
Yes, and only that. So if you can mitigate those issues, because the custodian's biology is so fucking good that even at 50,000 years old, they could easily take a company of Space Marines, because they probably can.
No, I'm sorry. No, they can't.
Okay, a squad, then. They could definitely take a squad.
A squad, yes.
Yeah, and if a squad of Space Marines beats a chunk of Hrud without the entropic field, then one custodian can take out a chunk of Hrud with the entropic field, logically.
Not to the point where one guy's literally standing on a literal mountain of Hrud corpses. No, I'm sorry. No, that's bullshit. Because I think the biggest problem people have the biggest problem I have with custodians, I say I have with custodians, is the fact that people tend to overestimate their abilities. Because, that there's an instance in the lore, where the custodians found, the 2 gene stealer cults on Terra, and then, there's a huge showdown, and the custodians actually took quite a lot of losses because, gene stealers as well as cultists. And yeah, people saying, oh, that's bullshit, there's no way custodians would ever take losses from gene stealer cultists. Bear in mind, a gene stealer is faster with faster reflexes than a typical Space Marine, is just about strong, if not stronger, and their claws can shred through Terminator armor as if it was wet tissue paper. If a gene stealer literally just slams its claws into a custodian's faceplate, it's dead.
Also,
regardless.
mining lasers say hi.
Demolition charge as well. Cultist slaps a demolition charge on a custodian's back, boom. It's designed to take out an entire building. I'm pretty sure one custodian's not going to survive that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think you're right that the custodians are portrayed as these overpowered, unkillable murder machines in the lore, because at full strength, operating as they should, they are borderline unstoppable. But
they are incredibly skilled warriors, and they are incredibly powerful, and they are incredibly strong. But my problem is the fact that so many people overestimate how good they are. To the point where people say, oh yeah, a single custodian can take on an entire Space Marine chapter. No, it fucking couldn't. That's just stupid.
Fair point.
Listen, I'm taking on entire Space Marine chapters. Yeah, okay, all you gotta take is hey, here's our entire Devastator company with las cannons. Have fun.
And yet, somehow, when they were on the how many custodians went on each torchbearer fleet?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
Because my guess is it's about 3.
Probably around 5, I imagine.
Okay, 5. 5 custodians are expected to deliver Gene Seed to any old Space Marine chapter, and if that chapter is found to be excommunicatoris and has done something wrong and is not suitable for that aid, or refuses it and starts kicking off, they're expected to deal with it.
They're not going on their own, though, because remember that instance with the Brazen Drakes? Because they also had, a complement of Sisters of Silence with them as well.
Yes, they do. They have that support, but one Sister of Silence versus one Space Marine, obviously the blank thing is a thing, but a non-psychic Space Marine against a Sister of Silence, I'd back the Astartes in that fight 6 times out of 10, if not 7.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Space Marines also go right, I've got Sister of Silence to my left and I've got a Custodian on my right. I can't take on both.
No, but if I've got 20 Sisters of Silence and 5 Custodians and there's 500 of us, you aren't going to have that problem.
No.
And yet the custodians and sisters in that small contingent are expected to be able to deal with it. And we know they have, because I'm 95% that there's a story, I think it's in White Dwarf, a short in White Dwarf, of a chapter that is just blown out of the sky and butchered by a torchbearer fleet. And I forget why. I can't remember why.
I'm pretty sure that's the Brazen Drake story.
It might well be that story, yes.
Because everyone's like, oh my god, we got our first treaty Primaris. No, they're all dead. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, so a torchbearer fleet with its Talons of the Emperor complement is shown to be able to take, granted with ship-to-ship combat, but take a Space Marine chapter. Or at least chunk of it.
Or at least, yeah, a chunk of it, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure, the rest of the Brazen Drakes, they're involved in, a chapter civil war at the same time.
Yeah, there was only 100 or 200 of them in that assault. And the Talons took them. Now, I'm not saying that, custodians are not portrayed as being super bad, and I'm not saying that custodians are invaluable. What I am saying is that if you took away the entropic field, a Space Marine could beat a Harun in a fight. Yes or no?
So say again, you got out for me, sorry.
If the entropic field was not there, and it was a straight up fight, a Space Marine would beat a HUD. Yes or no?
1-on-1, yes.
Roughly, what's your power ratio there between Space Marine and HUD? 2-1, 3-1, 4-1?
At the very least, I'd say 2-1 in favour of the Space Marine.
Right. Okay, and we know that one custodian can take, 5 Space Marines, if not 10, on their own?
I'd say comfortably 3 to 5, but more than 5 is becoming a little bit of a struggle because, just through sheer numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, comfortably 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Comfortably.
So let's call it 5 because, we're not expecting this to be an easy fight.
Yeah, let's call it 5, yeah.
So
fine.
that means that the custodian to HUD ratio, roughly, is about 10-1. That a custodian could relatively comfortably take.
Without the entropic field.
I know, but the effect of the entropic field, an old custodian would still be able to take 3 Space Marines.
Yeah, but again, at the same time, with the entropic field, you need to bear in mind you're aging 1,000 years per second.
But I get it. I'm not trying to defend this story as not being completely bollocks.
I get you. I just want to point out in regards to the fact that Barabbas Dantiuk, he was exposed to the entropic field for literally a split second, and he was aged by 3,000 years. So if a custodian is exposed to the entropic field of enough HUD to make a literal mountain of corpses, so that's say about 50 HUD, and I'm exposed to that by to each HUD's field for 1 second, that's still 50,000 years. That custodian's dust by the end of that match. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should think so.
He would not survive. I'm sorry. He could probably kill quite a few, don't get me wrong, but he's not taking out all 50, not by a long shot.
No, it depends.
Not unless he's shooting them from a distance, which he wasn't. He was using a fucking sword.
Yeah, and I know the sword has a built-in gun, but still.
It was one of those sword master custodians. I've forgotten what the specific type's called.
But even the custodian swords have built-in guns. Not just the Guardian Spears, even the sword variation has guns.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to find out what type of custodian it was, because it was a specific type. Because there was one that was in the Shadowthrone box set, the one that had a double-handed sword.
Right.
What's it fucking called? Go for the next question, I'll just look it up.
Yep, that's fair. Right. So, having recently read the Farsight books, there are some events doing with the Ethereals. Basically, this person is asking, what kind of bullshit do the Ethereals have going on? They can tell...
Blade Champion. Sorry, Blade Champion.
Right. Yes, they're the elite ones.
And their sword doesn't have a gun built into it.
Oh.
So this makes it even more bullshit.
Oh. Right. Okay.
At the very least, I can't see one.
Yeah, because that's the one from the box set.
Yeah. And as apparently the one who killed about 50 HUD in close combat with a regular fucking power sword, it looks like.
Yep. Yep.
I'm
yep,
sorry. Bullshit. Anyway, talking about Farsight and the Ethereals.
Yeah. So basically, what level of nonsense do the Ethereals actually have going on here? Like, is it just indoctrination? Do they have some sort of control? It's not psychic, but what is going on? Because we know it's not pheromones. We know it's not psychic. No. And yet Tau will kill themselves because an Ethereal says so, and will kill each other to get out of an Ethereal's way. So...
yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ideas. Like, some people think it might be to do with brain worms, because there's like one race that's part of the Tau Empire who are literal brain worms. So some people think they live inside the Ethereal's heads and use their psychic powers to control the other Tau, which is okay. It kind of defeats the whole point of the Ethereals being in charge, and the whole entire plot line. But
and it's also worth noting that the Ethereals gained control of the Tau while the Tau were fighting in mud huts with swords.
Basically during the Tau World War, essentially.
Yeah, like the equivalent to World War One kind of thing.
Because hadn't they invented gunpowder by that point?
Yes, but not everybody had it.
No.
Like what would become the fire caste and the earth caste had it. The others, not so much. Like the water caste were a travelling merchant class. The air caste were travelling couriers. The fire caste were plains-dwelling tribesmen, and the earth caste built cities. Like, we had the first cities and black powder, and that was it. We're talking like...
the earth caste were like farmers, weren't they, originally?
Yeah, broadly. Like, we're talking barely post-medieval. And yet, the Ethereals show up and start this technological revolution. Now, brainworms is an option, but how did they get there? Unless they had wormed their way onto the Tau homeworld and just picked up like 4 or 5 Tau.
I see what we did there. The worms wormed their way there.
That wasn't even what I meant, but yeah, fine. Pun's a pun. But yeah, the Ethereals' mind control, as I'm reticent to call it, is a pile of nonsense which does not make sense. Like, there's loyalty, but there's a line between loyalty and kill yourself because they said so, and crush each other to death when they happen to be within 20 foot.
Yeah, because wasn't like, aside from Farsight, the only time a Tau's ever been able to disobey an Ethereal was literally because one Firecast was in front of Almvar's hologram. And it's literally because Almvar was a hologram, he couldn't,
Chasso
he was
Rin.
able to disobey. Yeah.
It's also worth noting that that Shadow Sun goes behind the Ethereal's back in order to slip a message to Farsight that the Ethereals want me to hunt you. Here's your head start.
Well, love makes you do crazy things.
Shipping.
The power of love, ladies and gentlemen.
Shipping. But...
hey, the books themselves ship it as well. Like, remember in that first Farsight novel, like, he's holding a hand and she goes, could you move your hand? It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I know. Phil Kelly ships it.
They're a cute couple. It's a shame that Kais doesn't get no love, though. Maybe that's why he's so angry all the time, is because he's got blue balls. But again, we're not all Tau have blue balls because they're blue.
Shut up. Shut up. But anyway, no, the Ethereal's mind control, or whatever it is nonsense, and it makes no sense, and nobody gets it. In terms of how it works, what it does, no one knows. And I think it's one of those of, if they ever tell us, it will shatter the mystique. Yeah, I think they need to. I want to know, but I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Right. In honour of the upcoming Bile Call novel, see, it all goes in circles, what other lore novel, character crossover novel would you love to see?
I think the most obvious one, Gilliman and Lion in 40k.
I mean, yeah. Get them
That's
two in a room.
That's an obvious one.
Get them two in a room.
Yeah. So it's like, you don't even need to make it a full-length novel. Just make a novella of them just sitting in the room talking.
They don't even have to make it into the same room. Just Dante's holodeck will do.
I know. Gilliman actually does have a holodeck.
Yeah, he does.
Like a legit holodeck. Because that was in the Korax novel. Because he and Korax actually played on a holodeck.
And it comes up in Dawn of Fire a few times.
And then they start complaining about Fulgrim's ship. It's like, whoa, you've been on Fulgrim's ship? Yeah, what's it like? It's like being punched in the face by a perfumed fist.
But yes, either way.
But yeah, Gilliman and Lion, that'd be a good one. honestly, at this point, Farsight and Shadow Sun, haven't been forced to fight against each other, maybe.
Yeah.
Even if just for appearance's sake.
Yeah, I would be down with that one. I think one that I'd be interested to see is, I know, we talked about them being just pied off earlier, but I think Ivrain needs to come across some important people and have a conversation. I'm thinking, I know Eldrad is a Ynnari anyway, but Ivrain running across, I don't know, let's just throw Fulgrim in there. That would be a fun conversation of we're going to make the god that will kill your god. Bullshit. Wanna bet? I think that'd be a fun conversation.
Ooh. Khan the Betrayer and Shasso Kais. Big angry boys punching each other in the face constantly. Yes.
Yeah, that could be fun.
The Betrayer versus the Living Weapon. Come on.
Yeah. In terms of talking, though, it doesn't actually, this is not just about two people punching the bejesus out of each other. Vect. I don't know who, but something with Vect. I don't know.
Who could be a good person for Vect to talk to?
Even Ivrain. I know I keep mentioning her.
If it doesn't Vect have a bounty on her head?
Yeah.
Oh. Vect and Aun-Shi. Aun-Shi's on Gamora.
True. That could be interesting. Honestly, get Aun-Shi out of Komara, because I'm very curious to see how Farsight's teacher relates to you ditch the ethereals. What the fuck?
Just swaggers out. He's now even more swole than ever. It's right, who the fuck? He's basically come out of the web as if he's looking on roids. No.
Maybe so.
Yeah, instead of Aun-Shi, it's Aun-Swole.
Terrible.
I cut an orc in half with a stick. Imagine what I can do now.
Terrible. But yeah, I really do think that's an interesting place to take it, is Aun-Shi's such...
Silly question. Has there been any interactions between the Tau Empire and the Craft Worlds? I know they've interacted with Yuri and Rakarth, but I don't know if they've done anything
not with anything that didn't
Worlds.
involve guns.
Oh, I mean, you could just do the whole Ivrain and Farsight, and let's make this set this before the events of Shalaxi Hellbane finding the fifth Crone Sword and sealing it and putting away in the Palace of Slanesh, so we can never return to that plot line. But set it before then, so have Ivrain hear of stories of a Tau warrior with this sword that has the power over life and death, and think, could that be the last Crone Sword?
Yeah, because that was a popular theory for a while.
Yeah. Again, we know it's not, but it'll be interesting to see from her point of view. I mean, from what you hear, it sounds like it could be one, and have an interaction between her and Farsight.
Yeah, that could be fun.
That could be good. I'd be down for that.
Especially because Ivrain would probably then end up spilling the beans of no, this is not the Crone Sword, it's this. And we know that Farsight doesn't know.
Yeah. Gav, Phil, if you're listening to this, please make this happen. Anyway, next question.
There aren't really that many more.
Really?
Well, there's... Okay, no, actually, sorry, I've missed one. Where is it?
It's there.
So, you were talking about Carcharodons in the last episode with the Carcharodon book. Outside of the space shark aesthetic, are there any other representations that you know of for Polynesians or Pacific Islanders in Warhammer? And no, White Scars don't count. That's a Mongolian aesthetic.
Has anyone ever called White Scars Polynesian?
No, but some people don't have very good geography.
Right. I would say, if you think Mongolia and Polynesia are anywhere near each other, you definitely need to look on a map.
Yeah, but some people probably just don't even realise. They see tribal tattoos and just jump to conclusions without even stopping to think.
I guess. I need to double check this one chapter, because I think one maybe, but then again, they might be more Aztec inspired. I'm not sure.
Don't know who you're actually referring to.
Because they're potentially the Eagle Warriors? Potentially?
Eagle strikes me more as America than it does
America.
No, Americas, I should say, rather than.
Oh, right, sorry. Everyone in the chapter has a bald eagle. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. No, I must be misremembering. Do you know what? I'm misremembering because of the fact that in one of the Death Watch books, the Eagle Warriors are literally the direct primogenitors of the Kakarodons in that book, despite the fact it's contradicted by literally everything fucking else.
Yeah. Well, there we go then.
But if that was the case, that would suggest that they may have had a similar aesthetic. I don't know, but it could be more closely related to like Mesoamerica or something, to be honest. But
yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's definitely scope to explore other cultures through different regiments and chapters. Like, obviously, you've got to be careful with being tokenistic about it, but like obviously, I know the Kakarodons, you've got some aesthetic things going on, but leaning into a lot of the tribal stuff, like you see it with Pacific Islands and things like with Samoa and other places, talking about like all the tribal stuff you've seen. I know we keep coming back to Roman Reigns, but there he is. And then you've got the Haka, because I'm someone who's followed rugby for a long time, and the Haka is one of the most awe-inspiring things you will see in sport. It is amazing when you see it live. Or the other variations done by the different islands. I know the Haka's the New Zealand version, but there are many others. And having these different chapters who have these different tribal traditions that happen to be inspired by or based on a hybrid of Polynesian Pacific traits, such as war chants and almost like that challenge, laying down the challenge before the battle, because that's what a Haka and the variations are. They're a challenge, a come and get us. We are going to defeat you intimidation tactic. And I know it's not very Space Marine to do that, but you could do it with a Guard regiment. I think it could be interesting to do with a Guard regiment, particularly a PDF, who knows the tribal culture of that planet and will see it respected, because that's where they come from. They're not going to just gun these people down. They're going to see that tradition is honoured. I think there's a way you could do it, and I am not the person to write that plot thread, because I am not skilled enough and I am not knowledgeable enough to write that. But I think there is a room to do it.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. Have I disconnected?
Nope, still here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. There was one that just said, like, should the Tyranids attack Sortiaria so that Magnus can just get one win? But, I mean, they've given the Tyranids a win. When was the last time he actually got the win? Magnus?
Yeah.
It depends on what you define as a win.
Like, a literal victory in battle.
Gods, I don't actually even know. Like, you could argue that both invasions of Fenris were victories in their own, particularly the first one, the Battle of the Fang, was a win. But there's winning and there's winning.
Yes, I think like the second Battle of Fenris, I think that was technically a Space Wolf victory, but I think it was like considered a tactical Thousand Suns victory, even though it was an overall Space Wolf victory. But yeah.
Oh, actually, there was one question that I stumbled on not Twitter, because Twitter's not called Twitter anymore. Well, it is actually.
It's called Zitter.
Yes. And it's actually from Warhammer official themselves. It's actually quite just a quote they've shared. What's your favourite Black Library quote?
Oh, I responded to that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. My favourite quote was, "You fools, you're destroying everything." Now that'll be the fire.
Where's that from?
The Gobbo's demise.
Ah.
Literally, you got a priest saying, "You fools, you're destroying everything," and like you got one of the Gobbos going, "Now that'll be the fire, mate." We're not destroying the fire doing that. It's not us.
Yeah.
Alternatively, I'd probably say like, if you say "I am Alpharis" one more time, I'm going to open the airlock and kill us all.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few. I'm reading through the thread now because there's like 90 of them. It's like, there's one like, Perturabo and Fulgrim. "I am not your equal brother. I surpass you in every way. And yet I'm the one holding the hammer." Or slightly misquoted. I think that's from Angel Exterminatus.
Yeah.
And Vulcan going, "You're forgetting one thing. It's also a hammer."
It's also a hammer. So, "You've lost an arm, Alessio. I haven't lost my arm. It's over there."
"I've seen into the hell behind reality. It stole my sense of humour. That's Algel Tal. And I mean, as a... that was actually Vincent Notley shared that quote about the Lost Arm.
Ah. Oh, do you see the one someone posting the Shadow Sun quote?
I'm still scrolling.
Shadow Sun dissing the Emperor, saying how the Emperor's got no sense of style.
Oh, yeah, that's a good quote. I think the one for me that always sits with me, not on a funny line, but as a great quote, is the, what's the one? The Grimaldus quote. The one that I have made my grave in this place and it is here that I shall die. It's always sat with me. It's just like, that's a great quote.
Mm.
I hear you do strange things to your ships. I hear you do strange things to your men. That's a good quote.
Cue the YouTube clip of everyone going, oh!
Indeed.
Because that's what everyone always posts after that.
Yeah.
It's like, we get it.
I hope you brought an army. You think so little of me. I brought 5. That's Orican and Trezine.
Oh, I think that's also one with like Lorgar with his Nemesis class ships. And so I think it's like Horus said, like, oh, you made 2. You have 2 of them. Oh no, I have 3. Or something to that effect. It was one of the audio dramas.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Oh, we can't forget the famous, I don't have time to die, I'm too busy.
Yeah, that's don't tell me his name, it's gonna come to me in a minute. Van Dyer.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's a good one from Age of Sigmar. Hammer God never understood Gorka Morka. Gorka Morka wants to fight forever, but the Hammer God doesn't. Hammer God wants to build walls and towers and castles, but what's the point of that if you never knock them over?
Gorka Morka knows what he wants.
That's a quote from Gordrak.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, and there's also one from the Fire Warrior novel, like Planetary Governor trying to get hold of a fleet admiral. It's like, Admiral, is that you? It's like, no, it's Van Dyer himself rising from the dead. Of course it's the fucking Admiral, except for that fucking, obviously.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dramatic. So if you can drop an F-bomb anywhere in a 40k novel, where would you put it? Right there. For dramatic effect. Just like, oh, who's the Chassail you were saying on this mission? Oh no, it's a Chasselar. What? You put a Chasselar on this mission? He was the most suitable for the job. Explain yourself. Even a broken component can be useful. Explain. I don't have time now, bye. Fire Warrior, by the way, in case you're wondering.
I had a feeling.
Such a good book. Even though it's based on a video game, it's actually a really good book.
Yeah, I'm just reading these and there's some really good ones. And it's just like, yeah, there's just loads of them. You stupid bastard, you got us box seats to a coup. Well, the reviews were very good. That's Orican and Trizin as well.
Leave a comment down below with your favourite quotes.
Yes, I know you've probably done it somewhere else already here, but it's still good.
Any other questions?
No. I think that we're about there.
Whoa, we're about there.
Terrible.
No, don't sing because we'll get copyright claimed. No, YouTube, I won't put it past them to copyright claim someone just for singing the song.
No.
I should have done that at least once anyway. Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress.
Right, so we have got some news, and I think as much as we've touched on some of the Tyranid stuff already, there's one place that I think I need to go first. The space.
Nothing.
For God's sake. So, Space Marines. They are starting to retire some of the range.
Mm.
So.
And to the surprise of no one, it's all firstborn.
So, what's leaving? Attack bikes, scout bikes, Landspeeder Storm, the Stalker Hunter, which is only from 7th, the Ironclad Dreadnought from 5th, the Assault Squad, Company Command Squad, Scout Snipers, the Basic Librarian, the Tech Marine, and the Thunderfire Cannon are all being last chance to buy and legends. You can still use these models because obviously an assault squad could just be Vanguard veterans, a bike squad could just be Outriders, a land speeder could be probably proxied as a storm speeder, an ironclad could be proxied as a different dreadnought, and it's worth noting that the venerable dreadnought is going to just be a dreadnought. So the venerable dreadnought does not get a separate unit space at all. So they're just taking a chunk out and are going to Legends, whilst most models will just be, you can use something else in their place or use them as something else. Still not good, but we knew it was coming.
And as soon as that news broke, you had all these clickbait sites saying, "Oh, Games Workshop retiring Space Marines." Yeah. It's like, fuck's sake, shut up. It's just, yes, we knew that this was going to happen eventually, but they're not retiring all Space Marines like some of these sites are claiming.
No, like you still got tactical squads, you still got Devastators, you still got Rhinos, you still got a chunk. But they are trimming it down, and I think give it 2 more editions, I think we'll be at go point. It's also worth noting that if these are the units being retired, it may be because some of them are being replaced. Bear in mind, we've seen all the stuff for the Tyranids Codex because we got the Battle of Ogram stuff, but we knew that if the Space Marines won the Battle of Ogram, they would have got all the reveals. So it may be that Scouts are being retired because they're doing a new Neophyte squad. It may be that Company Command is being retired because they're doing a new Primaris version. The Land Speeder has already been replaced. The Assault Squad hasn't been replaced in Primaris yet, but it does have the Vanguard veterans. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do a Primaris actual Assault Squad with jump packs, because all the jump pack Primaris have big off fucking guns, not swords.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
So, yeah, especially considering Kavan Shrike is right there and a Primaris, it's probably for the best they actually do a Primaris Assault Squad.
With a stupid Karen haircut.
You just put the helmet on.
It doesn't change the fact that his model has a stupid Karen haircut. I'm sorry. Helmeted options are always better.
Yes. So yes, that's your PSA, as it were. And they've also done Legends rules for all the other stuff, mostly the Forge World stuff, actually. And they have actually said that, you can use these in all regular games and are actually actively encouraged to do it in store as well. So you can actually play Legends in store if you wanted to. I know it's not much, but it's something.
Fair enough.
Like for the Orcs, for example, the Cannon Wagon, the Red Gobbo's gone to Legends, the Warbike Pain Boy, War Track, Scorchers, War Buggies, all the stuff that got replaced. Big Guns got replaced, still got rules. The Death Copters with big shooters, if you've got the old shitty metal ones, they're here. The Kill Crusher, the Death Roller Battle Fortress, the Chinook is here. The Fighter Bomber, the Attack Fighter, the Lifter Wagon, the Grot Bomb Launcher, Big Mech on Warbike. Warboss on Warbike's not here, but that's what the Death Killer War Trike is for, I guess.
I'll say this now, like, looking at the models for like the bike and the attack bike, to be honest, it's about time they probably got retired, considering that looking at these do appear to be the exact same models from the 2nd edition.
Yes. Oh, the Gallipop's Infected have been Legends. Oops.
So, to be fair, those units being retired, yeah, I can understand that they've been around since 1997. They deserve, a break. Yeah.
I think that is fair.
If something's been around that long, I don't mind it getting Legends because, they earn the retirement. It's been 25 years.
Yeah, and Mutilator's been retired, which is a shame. But
which is quite funny because they actually show up in the Angron novel.
Of course they do.
Because the Mutilators, they got retired quite a while ago, didn't they?
Yeah, they've not been around for a while, but they've officially shown up here in Legends alongside a few other things. Yeah,
because the new Angron novel, the David Geimer one, there's literally a scene in it where, I forgot his name, it's Kosalax, the guy who's in charge of the Conqueror currently, he's got, a squad of, World Eaters with him and a pair of Mutilators.
Nice. And yet.
And yet. It's like, I have Mutilators. You're the only person who apparently does. something something fucking whoops. To quote Kano. But yeah.
Right.
Have you disconnected? Oh,
No.
yeah. Okay.
No. Right. I think we should probably touch on the remaining Tyranid reveals very quickly. There's not a lot to say because they redid Termagants and Hormagaunts, as everybody was expecting. They look fine.
I already talked about the Biovore and how much I hate it as a Biovore.
Yeah, they've redone Gene Stealers. They look exactly how you'd expect. And they've given them a Yimgal design variant, which is nice. So you can make them look like Yimgal Gene Stealers if you so wish. But
They've got new lictors.
yeah, and then finally, the actual interesting one is a new lictor and a brand new unit, the Neurolictor, which is kind of a cross between a Zoanthrope and a Ravener, rather than a lictor, to be completely honest, because it's got the diggy tail.
And tentacles for a face.
Right. So yes, it's got psychic abilities and is all about like confounding the enemy's senses, apparently. So no, I think they've done a good job with these models. The Neurolictor I really like. The regular Lictor looks great. It's just a shame about Deathleaper being way too over-designed.
Yeah. And as I said, like the Norn Emissary, I really like the Norn Emissary.
The Assimilator, I hate it. It's over. It's way too much.
Dog shit.
It's way too much.
I hate the stupid little mandibles on the side of its face.
And it's got like mandible claws coming out of its chest as well.
Yeah, the Norn Assimilator, it's literally just a new version of the Dimacaron. Because the Dimacaron had the flesh hooks in its chest as well.
And that, yeah.
And considering that what the role they're described to be like, oh, they're designed for like hunting down like, enemy commanders and stuff like that. Yeah, that's literally the Dimacaron's job.
Yep.
It's the Dimacaron just in plastic. And worse.
I know.
But at least the Norn Assimilator the Norn Emissary looks nice. The Norn Assimilator, dog shit.
Yeah,
but the Emissary looks nice.
Indeed. There's some board games, but there's nothing really of interest here, apart from, I think, the fact that Space Marine, the board game, is now going to be available in North America by the end of the month. But
it's a Target exclusive, isn't it?
Target to start with, but it will be coming around the world later on in the year. So, yes, the Americans got first dibs on the Space Marine game, because, okay, sure. And then, actually, the rest of it for model stuff was actually for Legions Imperialis, the Heresy stuff, because they showed off a chunk of stuff that's coming after the starter box. We've seen the battle tanks, things like that, but they've done here a Legiones Astartes support box, which comes with Leviathan dreadnoughts, both with plasma batteries, fists, missile racks, etc. Tarantula batteries with las cannons or Hyperios air defense launchers, as well. So kind of interesting.
Yep. And there's also a new squat with the robot with the hard hat as well.
Oh yeah, Kyrios said that was the best model GW had ever done.
Yes, because that robot is adorable with his little hard hat. It's adorable. Yeah.
And then they decided to go down the other side and show us the Kratos and the Baneblade and the Rhino. Because, rhinos have to exist. So yes, they showed us the Kratos and the Baneblade as well.
How long before they make, an Atreus heavy tank as well? Kratos and Atreus.
Ugh.
It was low-hanging fruit, I know.
Okay. But that's about it. They did also do a dev diary for Old World, which actually started to talk about, mechanics. They actually started talking about mechanics.
Well, they're underappreciated. They've got to keep your car in order, haven't they?
So, yes, basically, they have given as much freedom as they can is their sort of logic. And looking at the picture just hurts my soul because look, I'm just going to say this picture. Look at the amount of models that are older than like me in this picture. Like it's high elves against orcs and goblins. And like you've got the silver helms from donkeys years ago and the archers from donkeys years ago. And some of the...
that orc chariot. That's from... That's from 6th edition fantasy. Yeah, the chariot's from 6th edition fantasy, but the boars pulling the chariot are from 4th edition fantasy.
Oof. So yeah, there's some really, really old models in it. It's interesting they've not brought back the AOS equivalents. Like, for example, the trolls are still they're the fantasy trolls, not the new ones. The new Rotgut Troggoths. They've not done that, which is interesting as it is. But they've talked about like the fact that the rules encourage wide units, but you don't have to go 10 wide. Because in 8th edition fantasy, there was a horde mechanic where if you went 10 wide, you could fight an extra rank deeper. Or something like that, anyway. And so they've given more freedom there in terms of options, which is good. The morale system is going to be more about... what's it talking about? Like
Morale.
Yeah, like working through attrition rather than through like just the braking system. And also this picture is going to hurt even more because I think looking at some of those, there's the old Wyvern there, which is just ridiculous in that picture. That is, oh my God.
You mean the Fat Wyvern?
I think so, yeah. It doesn't look like the Azhag the Slaughterer version.
Yeah. See, when you say the Azhag the Slaughterer version, I think of something even older.
I know.
And something that actually looks and with a Wyvern that actually looks even better, in my personal opinion. Because I never liked the fat orc Wyvern from that edition. I preferred, like, the original Wyvern.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think they've both got their pros and cons. What's interesting, though, is that they have got rid of the magic phase.
Boo!
They've done it like 10th edition, where it's spread throughout phases.
Boo!
But no dice pools, no cards. It's all more about positioning and casting spells at the right time.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. I played Lizardman. I had Slan. Boo!
I played High Elves. I never ran Techless, but I could have done. And to be honest, I found the magic phase.
I could have run Croak.
I know. But, like, I don't mind that. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, the psychic phase being retired from 40k and spreading powers throughout the turn is actually quite nice. Like, just having the fact that it's like, okay, it's the combat phase. Let's use my combat power to give myself a boost. Or the one thing actually I do hate about 40k Psychic Edition is you don't have to take a psychic test. That's the thing that bothers me, is you don't have to take a psychic test for anything.
Oh.
Like, there's some powers that can backfire, like they have the hazardous rule, but if you want, like, I'm going to take an example, like, strikes first, you just have it. It's a psychic ability, but you just have it. You just have strikes first. It's not like pass the leadership test.
Yeah, I think that they did something like that. They introduced something like that for 40k during 3rd edition. Because back in 2nd edition, it literally was just the magic phrase from Warhammer Fantasy.
Yes, it was. And they had the cards and the pools, and that was 2nd edition, I think, or it had the cards.
It was 2nd, yeah. But then in 3rd, they just said, like, oh, by the way, like, use smite in the shooting phase, for example.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But yes.
So yes, we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to just reading overall world to see how they've done it. I don't know if I'll pick it up and play it because I haven't got time, but... oh, that's reminded me. I apparently owe a rant to this podcast that I've been meaning to have for a few weeks, and I forgot to do it.
Go on.
Mephiston. 10th edition Mephiston can fuck off.
What's he done now?
So, Mephiston has got a decent psychic shooting attack. It's damage D3, does mortal wounds, etc., etc. That's fine. Here's the thing. When he gets into melee, this is what he does. He gives his unit always strikes first. So he always strikes first. Especially, he would do this on charge anyway, but, he has always strikes first. He has 7 attacks at weapon skill 2+ and strength 10. AP minus, 3, damage D3 each. What that means is, unless you are a tank, then you are being hit on 2s, wounded on 2s, ignoring 99% of your armor, taking D3 wounds a throw. He literally killed an entire squad of Chaos Chosen in one shot.
Damn.
5 Chaos Chosen, didn't even get to attack, just dead. To Mephiston alone. Before his squad even fired their attacks off, Mephiston wiped the lot. And it's just
I think he might end up being nerfed when his codex comes out.
Yeah, I think I can live with, he always strikes first, because he's a psyker. I can live with, he's got a weapon skill of 2+. What I don't get is strength 10 on Vitaris. I don't get it.
Do you know what would be maybe I don't want to say better, but maybe a more flexible idea? Maybe it's how many attacks has he got?
7.
7. Okay, so maybe do something you can either have seven attacks at say strength 6 or whatever. I don't know what the strength to toughness ratio is in this edition, so just
most Marines are still toughness 4.
Okay, so say give him strength 6 for his attacks, or he can choose to sacrifice half his attacks to make them strength 10 instead or something.
And you know what? They do that because Farsight does that. He has this Dawnblade has 2 modes, strike and sweep. Sweep mode 8 attacks, strength 6. Strike mode 4 attacks, strength 10. It's exactly that mechanic. But Mephiston doesn't have that. He just has bullshit Uberkill.
I'm guessing someone in the development team was a Blood Angels player.
Probably.
How can you make Mephiston even more bullshit? I know. Let's do so. Every time he inflicts damage, he automatically regains a wound, or just gains a wound in general. He's now got 47 wounds.
Yeah, heal is different
because
to
vampire.
Gain. And Urian Rakarth, I ran afoul of Urian Rakarth the other day because he was leading a squad of racks, and he just auto heals 3 of them a turn. He just resurrects 3 racks a turn.
Rack and roll.
It's fine, because what I did is I just burned the whole squad with flamers and left Rakarth on his own. Also, Rakarth resurrects on a 2-up after he dies. Once.
Oh.
He just gets back up at full wounds after he dies. Once per game.
Fair enough.
So yes, that was fun. And also, 4 Darkland Scourges could piss off because they one-shot my hammerhead before I even got to fire it. Because they just deep strike with Dart Lances. Oh, that's a nice tank you have there. Be a shame if someone were to destroy it with strength
tank?
12.
What tank? There was never any tank there. It's just
with strength 12, AP minus 4, damage D6. It's just and we have 4 of them that hit on 3s. With deep strike.
Nah, perfectly balanced, mate. Perfectly balanced. It's all perfectly balanced, just like Mephiston, perfectly balanced.
So yes, that was my rant. I just wanted to have that one.
It's been a while since you had a rant.
I know.
You're entitled to one. It's all good.
Absolutely. So, what time are we? About
half hour left.
About a half hour. Yeah. I would have a book to report. I've actually bought a pile of ebooks. I bought 6 because I am going on holiday in the not too distant, and I'm going to be sat on a bus for 9 hours.
Oof.
So I bought 6 ebooks to try and help me get through that. So I've bought Dawn of Fire 5 and 6. I've bought God Eater's Son. I've bought one of the Warhammer crime novels. You know, the King of the Spoil cyber novel.
Oh, yeah.
I bought that. And I bought Gotrek Blight Slayer. And I bought Children of Teclis, the Lumineth book. And I know I went on a bit of not a rant the other week about Black Library being $10.99 for ebooks now. And it is. But some of them aren't. So Dawn of Fire is £6.50. All other ebooks are $10.99. Except the Warhammer Crime one was also £6.50. So it really depends on what you're buying. If you're buying a novel, it's $10.99. But if you're buying novels from a particular series, they're £6.50.
Or from a particular time period.
No. Not particularly. It doesn't matter if they're brand new or 6 months old. Still $10.99.
What about the older ones from the late 2000s?
I didn't trawl that far back, but because I was looking as well. I bought God Eater's Son, the not Chaos, not Stormcast thing, and that was still $10.99. And all the 40k novels I could see, even going as far back, past the Angron novel, past the Lion novel, I think as far back as the Cypher novel, was still $10.99.
Because Twice Dead King is $6.49.
Okay, good. They're starting to do it, but a first sort of 6 months of release, I think maybe even 12 months of release, they are $10.99. They put the prices up on the newer releases and then brought them down as they get older.
Yeah. I'm trying to find how much Lord of the Night costs. You know, that Simon Spurrier novel.
Uh-huh. Yeah, 'cause that's really old.
$6.49, yeah. Soul Hunter, $6.49. Yeah, Blood Reaver, $6.49.
Good.
Voidstalker, $6.49. So you can get the Night Lords trilogy for cheap at least.
Yeah, I think it does depend on how old the books are, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm still annoyed at the fact that, one, the Black Library Coming Soon page hasn't been updated yet, so we've still got Coming Soon in May. It's nearly fucking August. Actually, by the time this episode comes out, it will be August.
Ugh.
Coming Soon in May, August, still waiting for a new bloody book. But there's also the fact that, like, Black Library still advertises physical copies, yet they haven't sold any physical copies since prior to the pandemic. And, like, there's still a whole bunch of books out there that have yet to be put in ebook form, like the Gothic War novels. We're still waiting for them to be put in ebook format.
Yeah, because they don't sell the physical copies. It's all just ebook or audiobook, and the audiobooks are £30 a go.
Yeah. Like, I understand that they would be more expensive because you actually got to pay a guy to read it all out, so I can understand, paying for the cost and all that. That's fair enough.
It's higher cost. I don't dispute that. But it takes long, for me at least, and I know I am the exception because I can read like a rocket, of like, it costs 3 to 4 times the price for taking 3 to 4 hours longer to do, and you can't even just check back and like, what was that? It's harder to scroll back and find something because you've got to listen, remember where you were, and decide, do I need to go forwards or backwards from there? So I personally find that I just don't. I get the idea of audiobooks, I do. I just don't get why they're so appealing relative to even just an ebook. And I'm a fan of hard copies, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's quite worth the investment that they are. Like, I know it's a lot of man hours.
To be honest, when I used to work outdoors, when I used to do pest control, I had to because I spent literally 8-9 hours a day literally just walking. This is before I injured my back and started developing all these health problems and all that. But when I'm walking around a site for 8 hours a day or whatever, I have an audiobook on my phone. Because just to give me something else to focus on, because it's just so mind-numbingly boring just walking in a circle for 8 fucking hours. You know?
Whereas for me, I'll listen to video essays rather than ebooks because
that's fair enough. I mean, this was this was also many, many years ago, before YouTube video essays really took off and stuff like that. So I think not all the Horus Heresy books were even out on audiobook yet. I think literally the most recent one to come out on audiobook was maybe Fulgrim.
Jesus.
Yeah, to give you an idea how far back that was. But working out and about, if you're working outdoors, I can see the appeal. But if you're sitting at home, I don't see the appeal. Because I try listening to some audiobooks while just sitting at home, but I just trail off. My mind just trails off and I can't focus on them.
No.
I focus better when I actually have a physical book in hand.
Agree. I'm the same. I need to sit and listen, and I can't just sit and listen to an audiobook for 12 hours, and I can't just have it in the background either. So, yeah, I'm the same. And I know we've talked about this before on the podcast, because I remember having this exact conversation about audiobooks. I get it. I think they have a place and are useful, but I do believe that generally you'll be able to remember the story and get more out of it by reading it. If you just want to hear a story, then it's fine. But for that in-depth analysis that you and I love to do on these things, because it's what we do, having a paper or ebook copy to flick back through, check things, double back a chapter. Because if you double back a chapter in an audiobook because you forgot what you did the last time you listened to it, you'll be on chapter 1 for a year. Because it takes half an hour to an hour for each chapter, depending on how long they are. So you might genuinely not make any progress because you just spend that time listening back to what you heard the last time to keep up. Whereas in a book, you can just go flick, 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 3 pages. Okay, I've got a rough idea. I might just go a little bit further back and then I can carry on. And because you're reading faster, you don't forget.
No. I mean, I think ebooks are really good for this because, if you have an e-reader, you literally just fold it close, flick it open again. There I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about having a bookmark. You literally just open it. It's there.
Oh, fold the page.
God, I know fold the page on my books.
I do.
What kind of sick monster are you?
Someone without the patience to buy bookmarks and have to move books around so the bookmark falls out.
You heathen. But anyway, what do you prefer, guys? Do you prefer ebooks, audiobooks, or physical books? Leave a comment down below.
Yeah, because it's been interesting with 10th, because actually this edition is the best edition ever for ebooks. It's all on ebooks and downloads and PDFs. And yet the first thing that about 80% of us have done is print them. Like print our indices. I haven't, because I know that my Tau Codex is going to get updated pretty soon. I know it's like by the end of the year, the Tau Naught Codexes will be done. So I haven't bothered. But if I know that the rulebook is sticking around, I've printed it. I've printed off a copy of the rulebook. I've printed a quick reference sheet so that I can keep an eye on all the universal special rules. I've done all that printing because I find it easy to have a physical copy in front of me rather than scrolling up and down on my phone. And yes, I know the app exists, and app people, absolutely, for your game design, the app might be even better than just reading the index and scrolling up and down because it's annoying. But at the same time, I don't know. I think it's an interesting state that we are now where the edition can be played without a single book. And yet I suspect a lot of players are either on the app or with the book and their codex, or they've printed it. Just interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't got any book updates, I'm afraid. If you've been reading something, by all means, shoot.
I have. I just don't know if I've got enough time to detail everything in regards to it.
Well, what is it? Just to tease the audience.
Fun enough, I mentioned it earlier. It's the Gobbo's demise.
Well, that can't be that long, can it?
There's actually it's not really particularly long, but there's actually a surprising amount of stuff that goes on. And because there is a lot that actually goes on in it, it could probably take more than 20 minutes to get through.
Fair.
Yeah, so I'll probably have to save that for next time, I'm afraid, just because we won't have time otherwise. Because I did a test with a video recording to see how long it takes just talking through another short book, and that took about just shy of an hour. So
Jesus,
I think So given the time we're on, Sorry, everyone. Maybe next time.
Yeah. Actually, that links on, and I appreciate that I've actually closed the bloody tab of, the Wib episode, because you and I and Wib, we had a conversation, and the comments actually fed a lot back to us about sort of mini episodes, like standalone stuff. It doesn't have to be a Podcastus, but where we just pick a theme and go. And just make a mini episode almost out of it, rather than a segment, like a mini-sode just dedicated to, it might be orcs, it might be the literature around the Black Templars, it could be a number of a million things. And it was interesting getting that response. I'll get it back up, and I'm sure you could probably find it as fast as I can. But just people talking about where's it gone? Yeah, I've just got it open now.
Just people talking about where's it gone?
Long form rant videos.
Right.
Or things like, where's the other ones? Talking and rambling on a very rough theme, evidenced by the Misanthropod. Yes, Remleiz got on the Misanthropod again.
I did. Hooray!
Did you enjoy yourself?
I did.
Good.
It's been 84 years. And surprisingly, no Battenberg was mentioned.
Yes, I think you were being nice to Snipe.
Yeah. I was being very nice by mentioning about Robert Patrick's balls. It's an in-joke for anyone wondering.
Yes. Oh, a debate show. Right, okay, yeah.
A debate show?
With people with in-universe personas debating each other on an issue, with a moderator sort of being sort of the omnipotent fly on the wall who knows all this shit. Just a debate format kind of thing.
Is it kind of like, what's it called? That show Deadlock that Game Theory did a few years ago.
I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
It's basically
The
the premise of that show is like they had like a topic, and one person was basically arguing for, and one person was arguing against, and then they basically reach a deadlock and ask the comments to basically vote who's actually the winner of the debate, kind of thing.
No, this just seems to be more an open rant argument. One format that I've actually come to quite enjoy is a format from a YouTuber that I watch, MBT. They did a show for a while called Magical Hat, which is, here's a topic, here's a big question. Like, just to give an example, should there be set rotation? That was one of the topics from one of the episodes. And each of them had to present...
Sorry to interrupt. I assume the subject is in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh, because you said Yu-Gi-Tuber?
Yeah, it is.
Right,
okay. Sorry. So yes, sorry, my bad. And they had 4 people, including MBT, who would talk about the topic and give their take. And then they get to argue with each other about it. And one of them was lying. So you know, you had the assassin game.
Oh.
Like, it's kind of like, it was a bit like that. And like, there's 4 people, each with their take on a topic, but one of them is lying and has a fake take. And you had to work out who it was.
Okay.
I actually really quite enjoyed that format because some of the people's takes were unhinged and yet also completely true. Like, it was their actual take, even though it was utterly unhinged. And trying to like pass like what you know about the person as well as like what they usually have said before and trying to put it all together was a really interesting format. And I quite enjoyed that as a show concept. I don't know how well it would work because we're quite well entrenched in many of our opinions. Like if someone said, like, for example, who should be the next War Master of Chaos? We're all going to go, it should be Abaddon. And then someone comes in, I think it should be Huron. Everyone's going to go, no, that's sus as hell. But it's just...
And then some absolutely deranged person thinks, I think it should be Typhus. It's like, you're an idiot.
Yes, but are you lying? And that was the concept. You might be an idiot, but are you lying?
Valid point. Sounds like it could be interesting for something we could explore in the future, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it's one of them. It comes down to time commitments, really, for both of us. Because it's the summer holidays now, but...
Yeah. And for one thing, we still need to schedule, your tag title defense for Quizcastus. We still need to find actual challenges for you guys.
Yeah, we're still working on that. And I want my fucking belt back of Oculus.
In fairness, it was never yours to begin with because it was to crown the inaugural champion. So
go away.
It was never yours to begin.
Go away. It was my belt. It was my belt by default.
Yeah. Okay, MJ Neve.
But anyway, yes. So yes, I want my belt back, but I've literally found time to make one video since I came out, like a year ago, and it's nearly a year since I came out, and it's been a year, and I've made one video, for me personally, and that's partly due to lack of ideas, but it's also just lack of time. Like, I've got married, I've moved house, and there's loads of stuff going on, and you just like, I haven't got the time or the energy really to just go in and ensconce myself in the office and do a debate quiz show on the Tinterwares. And it's one thing that I really, really, really miss streaming. I miss streaming. Like, I didn't always do it, and I had a routine, then it stopped. But I miss streaming. Like, having access to just being able to sit for a couple of hours, or just an hour even, and vent and chat and paint if I wanted to, or whatever. Like, that was a real great time for me. And I love doing it. Right up until the point where it got sabotaged and then I had to stop. But that's not the point. Like, something like a debate show would be really good done live, because you can have the chat weighing in as you go and trying to get involved, change people's minds and say, what about this? And think of the things that the people in the debate wouldn't necessarily think to ask. Like, it's having it in an open forum where the questions are just constantly just streaming in. It's really useful. But doing it live, well, it comes with technical issues first and foremost, and coordinating people is an even bigger pain in the arse. But it would work really well for a format of debate, because people would always be getting involved, and it'd be a great chance to correct some misconceptions there in the moment. And that's my teacher brain turning on. But yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll have a think about alternative formats because a lot of you said in the comments that you come for us. What we talk about is what we talk about, but you come for us and the way we are as people and the conversations we have, whatever they're about. So I appreciate there's an appetite there for Rem and I talking about stuff. And I appreciate that because, we've been doing this for 6 damn years, nearly. Is it 5 or 6 years now? I think it might be 6.
I think it might. The show. I think it's been about 6. Yeah,
6.5 even, and maybe no. It was September 2017 because I'd just gone to uni for second year. So no, that's a lie. It was in second year.
Hang on, let me check the dates. The oldest episode of Podcastus on my channel is September 2016.
Oh God, it's 7 years. It's almost 7 years.
Don't you feel old?
Jesus Christ, yeah, 7 years of doing this, and I don't feel old. Well, I feel old for separate reasons, but I don't feel old for the podcast. It's just like it's weird to think that this show would now be halfway through primary school. Like this show would be in year 3. Like, what the fuck? But
I just noticed like. This is really weird, but apparently our second most ever popular episode is just an episode of me and you. That's
really?
Our second most popular. Yeah, our most popular episode is the one with Markiplier. That's a given.
Which one?
And then
Which one? Which number?
63. Episode 63 with over 40,000 views.
Wow, that is odd.
And then after that's one with Burke.
Yeah.
Rogel Dawn, 35,000. And then it's episode 1. And then it's episode with Scruffers. And then Kitten episode.
Yeah, what's mine? If I go to mine, channel, no, not channel, studio.
Yeah, if you go into content and just type in podcast and then go to views.
Yeah, filter.
But it's just weird that like an episode's just me and you is like our second most popular episode ever. That was one where we had the new Sanguinius model drop.
Ah.
So I don't know if that's to do with it or anything like that.
How do you sort? I've got it. Oh, there. Got it.
Yeah, see the filter.
Yeah. So mine is 70, where we had Alpha Bucer on for the first time. That was first time.
So 70,000, yeah. So that'll be our most popular overall then, I think.
It's episode 22,000, but it's when we had Alpha on.
Oh, episode 70. If we went 70,000, sorry.
Yeah. Then it's 100. Then it's 50. Then it's episode 60, which is Zegram. So it's another TTS person. Then it's episode 2, because I got episode 2. And then it's the ADB episode, a Baltimore episode, and episode 8. Is that? Yeah, episode 8. That was before we even started having guests on.
Okay.
Or around the time we started with guests.
Yeah, the episode that's just us. Episode 63 is when we're discussing the Sanguinius model, the Horus Heresy Weekender, and Borga. Whatever that, I can't remember what that is. Borga.
Yeah, whereas
I don't even remember that.
The Alpha episode is Warhammer Fest, blank shenanigans, and much more. And in terms of a regular, the other one, the Zegram episode, is the new animated series, Wrath and Rapture. Oh, it's the Splatoon rant.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
It's the Splatoon rant episode.
That was when Zegram was basically comparing the Inklings to the Drukhari, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. It was a full-on rant about Splatoon.
Yes. Oh, I completely forgot about that.
That was funny. And then the ADB episode, obviously, is ADB.
Do you know what I miss?
Yeah?
I miss Animaticus.
Oh, Animaticus was hilarious.
I miss that. Maverick Dre, if you're listening to this, please make some more when you have a chance. Please.
Or at the very least, let us know if it's a thing that could happen, because I remember you made the Christmas special or whatever it was, and then you took some time off, and that's absolutely fine. Everyone needs time off. But there was always this idea.
University work or something, didn't they? Yeah.
Something like that. But there was always this, oh yeah, it'll be back. And then they made the intro. They made the new intro.
Thank you.
Which was obviously great, and everyone loves it with the Metal Slug theme and all that. Everyone loves the intro. It's just way too loud compared to the audios. You've always got to sample it down and all this crap. But
you just need to turn the volume down, Neve.
Yeah, I know. But no, it's one of those, I miss Animaticus. And if someone else wants to do an Animaticus type thing and just doesn't call it that, I'm not going to stop you. Like, fan animations or fan anything is always welcome. And as much as Rem can't show stuff on the screen because he still uses fucking Movie Maker half the time, I know you don't, but you did for Yonks.
No, I still do.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's broke. You can't even put a picture on the screen. God, even fucking iMovie could do that.
But I tell you one thing that was quote unquote animated. You know when we had Samoa Joe on?
I do, yes. And I missed half the episode because I had a doctor's appointment.
Yeah. The other Neve, Arsenic Typhoon, she animated the Sigismund cereal skit.
Oh yeah.
As a short?
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah. That was such a random tangent we went into. It's like, oh yeah, Demon shitting on Sigismund's cornflakes every morning. That's why he's so angry.
Yeah, it's weird how some things shake out. Like, but yeah, just sticking with the actual point around Animaticus. Like, obviously we'd love Animaticus back, but I appreciate they've got 150 episodes to trawl. Because they were still all made in the era when Alexis was hosting the show with us. Like, that stopped in 2018, I think it was. So there's 5 years worth of shit to trawl. So you might not want to. But if anyone happens to come across something that you think that would be a great animated moment, or that'd be a great fan art, or whatever you want to do, please do it, and please do send it to us, because I will make sure, and we will make sure, that it gets featured somewhere. It might be a link in the description to your page and the piece. It might be a shout out on the episode. It probably will be a shout out on the episode as well. Or whatever. We'll make sure that it gets featured somewhere, because, you know, we do this. I don't even want to call it a job. This job for shits and giggles. It's for fun, and it helps put money on the table for both of us. Absolutely, it does. YouTube advertising does provide. But at the same time, it's a chance to just let off steam and just talk about a hobby. Because as someone who barely gets time to hobby anymore, this is my main outlet for it, as well as Warhammer Club. And as for summer holidays, I can either go and ensconce myself like in a corner and hobby, or I've got the podcast. One is feasible, one is not. So it's just nice to have an outlet for the hobby where I can just talk about it. And even though my channel is as near to dead as dead gets, without being officially dead, it's just nice to still have a presence. And as much as I'm not noticed, because like you ask someone, who are your favorite lore tubers? And my name doesn't even get mentioned anymore. Like, they don't even mention me. And that's fine, because my lore series that made me popular was 6 years ago. Like, my most popular video came out 6 years ago last week. So I don't mind. It's just like, it's a way to keep my self going and my presence going on the tubes. So yeah.
Oh God, just realised. I've nearly been doing this for 10 years now.
2015 start, 2014 start.
2015. My oldest videos have been privatized because they're old and shit. But my oldest video was August 2015. So yeah,
actually,
nearly 10 years.
Mine's worse.
Oh, how's yours?
January 13th, 2014.
Oh, 10 years next year?
Yeah. Intro video, Imperial Guard showcase, Codex analysis, which was my thing.
Okay. For your 10-year anniversary, you got to do something.
If I get time.
Even if it's just like, you know, a 15-second clip of you just like blowing a party block going, or something. Like, happy
Maybe.
10th birthday. The end.
Yeah, maybe.
And watch how it gets something like 500,000 views in like 10 minutes or something.
40k tactics, battle reports, Space Marine Codex analysis. Oh god, this is so cringe. Introduction to the Horus Heresy model range. Horus Heresy. Oh god, that's the first lore video, I suppose.
If you think that's cringe, then just wait until you see what's happened to Twitter. Hey, topical humour. Hey.
No, genuinely, I've been making lore videos for nearly 10 goddamn years. I did like a little, I'm going to call it lore series kind of, on the Horus Heresy. And that's my first bit of lore. And it's like, what the fuck? Yeah, more Horus Heresy lore. Tactics. And then the first official 40k stories, Lord Solar Macarius. 14, literally, like my channel is dead meat for ages. And then this one lore video gets 14,500 views on Macarius, the first 40k stories.
Jesus.
And then Introduction to Fantasy, Fantasy Tactics on all the different laws. There's the 7th edition rumour video. That tells you how long I've been going. Gazkul lore. Oh, God, this is painful. It's partly painful, partly like cool to see where I've been, but then also just, looking back at myself 10 years ago, especially considering what I've done now with transition and everything else, it's just like, oh. It's just, oh. Anyway, I'm a shut up.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And I would say thank you very much to our guest, but we don't have one, so that's kind of points me saying that. But anyway, I digress. Until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And this is a now very nostalgic Neve from Tactica Imperialis.
Yes, she's a nostalgia critic. She remembers her old videos, so you don't have to. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.